Hey guys, it's Steve again. I'm hanging out here at Capitol Park today in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's a pretty cool place. If you guys aren't from here, it's maybe something to check on. Um, I wanted to do a video today on just topically first. I was going to do something like on line or something like that. Just some trigger in marriage. But to be honest, I'm kind of bummed today. That's one of the crappy parts about being bipolar. As I stay up, just up there so much, then all of a sudden I crash and I'm way down here and started doing these videos. This is the third one, or the third one I've posted, or I'm gonna post. And it's I've been sending them out to close friends to let them check it out, and or check them out before I post them. And like I said, I'm a little bummed today. One of them kind of hit back and said I need to quit putting all this weight on my shoulders, and as a husband, you the way I look at it, a husband's supposed to do whatever he can to protect his wife. And I think that, putting all the weight on your shoulder in any situation is a form of protection. And I need to get past that, I know, but got me really thinking and wanted to change topics. Kind of just wanted to go over, just in a marriage itself, uh, dealing with things like a spouse with mental illness or something like that. That's really where our problems really got hard. Is when I started showing signs last year of the bipolar, and when you have it, you don't see it coming on. It's just to go with the flow. To me, I didn't change at all. To our friends, to her, to family members, they saw it. Nobody said anything to me though. They kind of started talking amongst themselves, and that kind of makes the bipolar worse because I see that and I started getting paranoid. Like, what are they talking about? Um, a lot of them was thinking I was doing drugs or something like that, or just the worst. That really bothered me. It bothered me for the fact that no one came to me if they thought I was doing something like that. Because in my mind, that's something that you need to. Hey, if your friend or family member is on something, hey, we need to talk to them. No, they just handled it a different way than what I would. But that's the way they did it, and it hurts that they would, do that. But that's all in the past. Or think that I would do something like that. But like I said, that's one of the disadvantages of a mental illness. I don't see it, and I look at things different ways. This is probably one of the only topics you're gonna see me kind of irritated about that I wish was handled different. But I may be looking at it totally different. Maybe you guys can give me some feedback. Um, I wish that there was some kind of understanding in a marriage, or I think there should be some kind of understanding rather than letting it go so far that you just hate somebody. You know, I, one thing that I wished that the the ex, I'm not going to call him by names on here, would have, or just everybody close in the situation would have tried to understand it a little bit more. I've put a lot of time and effort into trying to figure this thing out. I'm a pretty outgoing person. Everybody who knows me, I mean, they know that you know, I'll joke around. I'm loud. Hey, I remember to have a good time, and that took it away from me. I got weird and awkward and quiet, and then all of a sudden I'm manic and I'm just wide open, like two times worse than I was, and I'm embarrassing at that point, and this and that, and like I don't see it though. Oh, I didn't see it. I do now. Now that I've looked into it and I realize what I have and what it is, and trying to control it. Um, it's a tough situation, and I know it's a fine line for them. I mean, you put so much out there. I mean, you embarrass them so much. You know, you do stupid things. You look so shady. You know, the manic stage makes you it makes you shady. It really does because you stay up. I still do, and I'm medicated. I stay up for worse than I was then because of the stress. I stay up for 4, 5 days, maybe a couple hours of sleep, at night. I don't need sleep when I'm manic. I have to constantly be doing something. It's okay at first because it doesn't affect you being up, but after you do that, I don't need either. It physically, or the things you do physically to yourself start just wrecking you, and you try to cover things up because you don't want people to think something, and you give the little white lies and this and that, and the things it makes you do, it makes you want those adrenaline rushes. It makes you want. That's the main reason. I don't know what it's the main reason. It makes you do stupid things, and I did stupid things before that, so it makes it even worse. Um, and then the way I do it now, when I crash like I'm in bed for days and days and days, and that's the depression side of it. So that middle stage they call it is about the only sane moment you really have. Uh, Medication. If anybody out there thinks that they may have bipolar, people joke about this and that, or they think it's either nothing or it's way too much. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's definitely not nothing. Um, you need to go check it out. Things like this can ruin your life. They can. I got to the point I couldn't hold a job. That did a lot with my marriage. You know, I've always been a pretty hard worker, real motivated, and the things like that, it just destroys you. Uh, so anybody who thinks that that their spouse may be following those guidelines, don't push them away. You know, and she didn't push me away at first. After she thought I went on, or I told her I went on drugs, she's like, well, if you're depressed or whatever, go see somebody. She tried, or she said something to me, but at that point I was so irritated and far gone because there were some issues with friends and me and her. It had just gotten too far. It elevated, and my feelings were in me, I guess. Uh, I couldn't understand why things were going the way they were. It was crazy why she was, in my mind, she was taking their sides. Um, it wasn't pretty at all. It really hurt me. So don't let it get this far. If you're in a marriage, if you truly love each other, you know, figure something out. There's support groups out there for for the spouse or for family members of somebody who has this, and something like that is great. It's going to help you understand what they go through, and having this, you need to keep your butt in some kind of support group, or something too. Not even a support group, just find a good group of friends that understand. I've got a couple good friends, and my old lady, or the ex, she doesn't like them. She doesn't know them. The thing about it is, they have the same condition as me, and we kind of help each other. I mean, we balance each other out. It's good for us. I mean, it's good for me. There's not any support groups where I'm at that I found just for the bipolar. I have found some that are for the family members. but stay medicated. You know, that's a biggie. Um, but don't give up at each other. That's the biggest, because it's hard uh, when you feel like you've been given up on. Guys, I didn't even want to, have one of these big teddy bear moments today. I mean, these are going to happen sometimes. Like I said in another video, I never cried at all until this whole thing went down. Really. So guys out there, if you're going through this, don't be ashamed. I mean, the only time my grandfather raised me, pretty much, and the only time I ever saw that man cry was when my grandmother died. So, and he was a tough old bird. But I'm on a tangent today. I keep just rambling. Like I said, I'm not having the best of days. I'm coming off that manic stage. That's why I just broke topic. I was like, man, I'm depressed anyway. Let's just talk about this to somebody who it may benefit. This is probably going to be one of the worst videos that we do. I do. It's probably not make sense to many people, but maybe it'll hit a couple people and they'll just see how I'm acting. They're like, dude, that's been me. At some point. But this stuff's bad, man. I mean, this is, to me, in my mind, this is what destroyed our marriage. I mean, every little thing that was a symptom or whatever you want to call it of what happened stemmed from this. I may have been suffering from this for a few years in a smaller sense, and it just kept getting worse and worse, not knowing what it was. And on top of that, with all this going on, I developed a few other things like panic disorder, which is like panic attacks, but you have them on a little bit larger scale. That's kind of stupid, but hey, they give you medication for that too. Whatever it takes. I went to